Good morning, everyone. I'm very sorry for coming late. I was actually having issues booting my laptop. So sorry about that, guys. Good morning, Dr. Juliet. So, I'm sharing my screen now. Dr. Val, good to have you. Yeah, okay. Oh, no, wala. So, Dr. Val will be starting. Dr. Dr. Val, can you see my screen? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. We miss you too. We miss you too. Mm-hmm. Good man. Good man. Which black part? Which of the letters? Which of the letters? Mm-hmm. So, what did you say, Doctor Val? E. Okay, yeah. So, I made I think E was the answer I was selected. So that's wrong. So people who choose C are correct. Some people chose D. So D is not correct. D is not correct. So guys, I'm going to explain this anatomy. I am very, very sorry for that mistake. There are some questions that the answers are wrong. Now, this one is one of them. This guy that you are seeing here, I hope you guys can see my cursor. This is cerebral cruise. So that's like a cerebral peduncle, the cerebral peduncle that the corticospinal tract or the corticobulbar tract travels to when they want to go to the pons or they want to go to the spinal the spinal cord. That's the area that they pass through from the cerebrum. So we call it the cerebral crux. CRUX. That is C. That is E. This black one. Hmm? I'll put you guys now. I don't know. This is a cross section of the brain at the level of the midbrain. This level is at the level of the midbrain. That's where they made that transection. You guys can understand it if you go to your first stage. I don't have the stuff here. Page 541. You will see it there. So that you guys can follow me as I'm, saying it. But mind you, you have to use the 2023 version. It's not in the 2022 version. So, but 518 Abi. Okay, yeah, it's 51. Ah, is that Dr. Zuliat? Thank you. So me, I was using the number below. Yeah, there's two numbers. So yeah, so you are correct. So the one attached to the page is 518. You are correct. So fantastic man. That is it. That is it. Fantastic man. So spastic paralysis. That's what you expect from a cerebral cruise. That's upper motor neuron lesion, right, Dr. Baji? Yes. So A is actually okay, still it's not actually a structure, but the specific part of A that is important is this area, this dot. That's your cerebral aqueduct. You know, this is your cerebral aqueduct that is shown here. This yeah, So A is the area of the cerebral aqueduct. Um, your C, this area is your substantia nigra. This is your substantia nigra. D is the red nucleus of the midbrain. D is the red nucleus. That dark area is the nucleus of the midbrain. It's dark because it contains gray neurons. So D is the red nucleus. C is the substantia nigra. E is your cerebral crux. Is there any area we've not talked about again? Um, was there any area? So here is where your optic nerve 2 is coming from. So here, uh, here is where your optic nerve 3 is coming from, oculomotor nerve. So here you have your medial lemniscus. So that's essentially the anatomy. Your optic nerve 3, your 2, your medial lemniscus here, your substantia nigra in this white space. This dark one is your red nucleus, and this area is your cerebral crux, or your cerebral peduncle. So A is the area of the cerebral aqueduct. So B, I think cranial nerve 2 is emerging from there, from the B. That's where you have your cranial nerve 2, because you said 2 for B, 2. The one in the middle. Sorry, not 2. I'm very sorry about that, doctor. Yeah, thank you. So it's actually 3. It's 3. 3. So it's 3. This area is 3. Sorry about that. Sorry. It's 3. 3 and 4 comes from the midbrain. You're right. So it's 3. This area is actually the nucleus of 3. So the emerging fibers of 3 are the ones that are lateral to it. So this is 3 nucleus. This one in between is the 3 nucleus. This area around it is the emerging fibers of your 3. This one is your red nucleus. This area is the red nucleus. The one just below it is the red nucleus. The one in between it is your substantia nigra, this white part. Then this one below it is your cerebral crux. So the one above is, your cerebral aqueduct. So that is that. So if we have that information, so that means that at least from what is demonstrated in this history, there's resting tremor, there's rigidity, clockwise rigidity most likely, and they said which area of the brain has loss of neurons. So it's likely to be the substantia nigra. So C is the correct option. So someone that has lesion at the level of E, just like Dr. Obaje said, is going to be spastic paralysis. If you have any compression at the level of A, it's going to be hydrocephalus. But the hydrocephalus will be associated with the enlargement of your third ventricle as well as your lateral ventricles. So that will bring a pointer towards compression at the level of the aqueduct. So um, I think we can move, right, guys? I think it's clear. Hmm? Okay. No, I didn't say it's dark now. It should not be dark. It's not dark. Okay, the other ones you used to see. I don't know. Maybe I don't. I'm not a neuroanatomist, so so this is what we see in the book. This is what we see in the book. Yeah, exactly. That was what I'm about to say. Maybe it has something to do with the staining that they use. So that is it. So we just have to, have. So you got it. Add it to your score. Add it to your score. Add it to your score. So so guys, please don't let us joke with this diagram. Let us note it like that because you can see it in your exam. A aqueduct, your B and this area like this. This is where your B nucleus is. Your cranial nerve 3 nucleus start from. So the fibers are the ones that are just directly lateral and downwards to it. Areas of your B. The one that is directly below it is your red nucleus. So you already know the problems of someone that has red nucleus lesion. You know how the person will present already. So So if someone has problem with red nucleus, if there's lesion of red nucleus, do you think it will be decorticate? So that means that it is only the vestibular spinal tract that will be working. So what do you expect? The cerebral posture. Fantastic. So, mhm. Yeah. So, yes, fantastic. So that means that your red nucleus and your vestibular nucleus are preserved. So your red nucleus will cause the flexion of the arm, while your vestibular will cause the extension of the leg. So you have a decorticate posturing. Okay. So the level of the lesion determines the manifestation. So if the lesion is above the red, no, you have to know that the vestibular nucleus is below the red nucleus. So if the lesion is above the red nucleus, so that means that both your red nucleus and your vestibular nucleus are working because it's just above them. That's the way to understand it too. I'm just saying that for you to understand it. So the red nucleus contains the rubrospinal tract that allows for flexion, while the vestibular nucleus brings out the vestibulospinal tract to allow for extension. So if the nucleus is just above the red nucleus, so that means that your red nucleus and your vestibular nucleus are preserved. So you can have extension and flexion. And you know that what you have in the corticate posturing is flexion of the arms and extension of the leg. So that means your lesion has to be above the red nucleus so that you can have preservation of your red nucleus tract and your vestibular nucleus tract. That is one. So if the lesion is in between the red nucleus and vestibular nucleus, that means that your red nucleus is out of it. Anything above will not be working again. So that means your vestibular nucleus is only the one that is working. So it will be causing extension of all the extremities, bringing about the decerebrate posture. So that is it. Okay, so number two, so I'll be calling us alphabetically as Babawale, yes. So the answer, okay. So the answer to the question is C. Sorry, I'm trying to show my screen so I can see. So you are correct. You should be marked correct. I'm very sorry about that. Error from the management. Yeah, I'm very sorry about that. So, Dr. Abisola, good morning. Mm, that one is spinal level. So, what kind of aphasia this guy having? So, conductive, you can see, he cannot repeat phrases again. So, that's one of the hallmarks of conductive aphasia. So, that means that both the Wernicke and the Broca are affected. Abi. Okay. All right. So, if the Wernicke, if the, ah, so wait now, guys. So, if the Broca and the Wernicke is affected, so what do you call that? Okay, so we should pay attention to it. Uh, don't worry, you will not miss it again. So someone that have problem with the arcuate fasciculus, they will have conductive aphasia, and one of the way they will present is being unable to repeat phrases. So global is when you have both Wernicke and your broker, more than one area being affected. That is when you call it global. Yes. Don't worry, you will not miss it again. You already know it. Hmm. Yes. So what does that tell you? That means that Wernicke area is fine. He's able to understand what he's reading. Yes. Mm-hmm. So this fluent speech, this fluent speech is also talking about the fact that the Wernicke tree is fine, because someone that has Wernicke problem, they can, okay, no, it's actually more of the broker. It's broker. So it's more of this, that fluency means that the broker area is normal, it's fine. So they are just trying to tell us that the Wernicke area and the broker area are both okay. So that is not the problem here, but the acute fasciculus, because of the inability to repeat phrases. Yes. Okay. So the easy way to just always know it is that someone that has broker aphasia, their speech is not fluent. They cannot make fluent speech because they have problems articulating all those words together. And another signal there is that their insight is preserved. They know that they're actually having problems speaking. It's not fluent. Do you get it, Dr. Paul? Now, people with Wernicke, they cannot comprehend what they are saying, so they feel what they are saying is meaningful. What they are actually saying is not meaningful, though it's fluent, but it's not meaningful. They can say that, I'm going to bring my ball, daddy is coming back. What they are saying is actually fluent, but is not meaningful. Do you get it? And the problem is that they cannot comprehend what they are saying to know that am I making sense or not. So comprehension is not normal in people with Wernicke. Fluency of speech is not normal in people with broker. In people with Wernicke, because of the fact that they are not aware that they are not making sense, they have no insight. If you tell them that what you are saying is not grammar, is not making sense, they don't agree with you, because they cannot even compare what they are saying themselves. Yeah, so it's very similar to confab, but you know that confabulation is a thing of your your Kosakov. Once you hear, when it's not even Wernicke, Kosakov, because people with Wernicke are confused, but people with Kosakov confabulate. You can see both of them in the option, Wernicke and Kosakov. You pick Kosakov. So the Dr. Paulette. So the next one is affectation of your arcuate fasciculus. That one, all you need to look for in the question is inability to repeat phrases. When you tell them to be repeating phrases, they'll be struggling with it. That is, your conductive aphasia. Then the last one is now global aphasia, when you have impairment in more than one of those areas, maybe your broca, your Wernicke, or your arcuate. If you have more than one of them together, that is your 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 global aphasia. All right. So Dr. Adeola, it's your turn now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what are the clinchers for thinking here? Mm-hmm. No, written movement is not choreal. That's atetosis. Okay. Mm-hmm. Dementia. So, what nucleus is not affected in people with autism and the putamen? So, both of them makes up the striatum. Yes. So, but the caudate nucleus is more damaged than the putamen. So, mm-hmm. For motor. So that is it. So affectation of the caudate as explains the dementia, affectation of your putamen explains, the movement problem that they have because it's part of the basal ganglia. So you know that the caudate nucleus is just above your lateral ventricle. If you want to identify it on a cross section, just look for the lateral ventricle. You see it above it. It's just above it. You know that okay, this is your caudate nucleus. Maybe when we see a slide, I will shed more light about. Okay, okay, okay. All right. So of course we know what happens to the other one. So Dr. Olatobi, just quickly rush us through. Problems with the cerebral hemisphere. Just quickly, one or two things. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All those things, you are correct. Mm-hmm. So the person will tend to fall to that side of the lesion. So if the lesion is affecting the left cerebral hemisphere, the person will fall to the left because it cannot maintain balance. So there's ipsilateral ataxia. Yes, that's correct. So limbic cortex just is emotion, all those things, behavioral. Uh, so stratum is the answer. Santia nigra. Parkinson disease. We should not forget Parkinson disease. Okay. So primary motor area. Yeah. So that would be like similar to upper motor neuron lesion because that's where your upper motor neuron is coming from. So F. Very correct. So hemibalismus. Just have sudden flame movement of one part of the body. Suddenly. Hemibalismus. Okay. All right. Dr. Dr. Adu. Is Dr. Adu with us? Dr. Adu is not with us. Dr. Obaji. Uh if you can't see it, I can. What about now? Okay. Hmm. So what are the clichés for PCA? So like you can see that you've said it already. Like the person has homonymous hemanopsia. So with macular sparing, that is all you need. And if this question want to go further, they will ask you that what part of PCA. They can make the options very much, left or right, middle. So what do you think it would be? He has a left homonymous hemanopsia with partial macular sparing. So what do you think? What? Yes. So it's going to be the right PCA because ah oh my god, I wish I can draw that stuff. Maybe I'll try and draw it and I'll send it to the page so that we can understand. The stuff is not actually hard. But if you want to code it, you can always code it. But if you want to understand it too, it's not hard. If you have damage to the left PCA, you are most likely going to have a uh, uh my stuff. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. My system is misbehaving again. Yes. So the typical features of PCA is that when you have a left PCA problem, the person is going to present with a contralateral homonymous hemanopia. Because I don't know if I say it by mouth, maybe we'll be able to get it. But I don't know. Because if you have the fibers are actually coming from the back, they give a temporal because each of the bundle, I don't know, maybe I can check it online. Let me just try and go online. So that I can explain. Um, what do I check now? Yeah, yeah. So I was going to mention it. So I just want to show you guys this stuff. Let me see if I can use this. Okay. So let's say that the lesion is just F, PCA here, this area. Mm. So can you guys see my screen? Can you guys see my screen now? So if this area is actually the PCA, you know this is your septal lobe. It takes care of all the fiber that is coming from here. And you know that having this lesion at F is the same thing as having this lesion at C. It's the same thing. The only difference is that the one at F has macular sparing, while the one at C has no macular sparing. Do you guys get it? So let's just assume that the lesion is coming from here. I know why I'm using that. Now look at the fiber. You can see that some are going to the temporal side of the ipsilateral field. That is, if this is the right, let's assume C is actually the right side. Now, the fiber that are going to the temporal field are the one that is coming from that side, while the one that decusates goes to the nasal field of the contralateral side. Can you guys appreciate it? Hello? Mhm. So now, this one that goes to the nasal side, it means that it's going to supply the temporal eye field. That's what it means. So that means that this fiber are actually these ones. You guys can see it. This guy is this guy. This guy is responsible for this. Do you guys get it? See, if it's supplying the nasal part of this retinal area, the feed that it supplies is the contralateral one. You can see that this area is shaded blue, but the area that is represented in the vision is the contralateral side. You can see. Can you see? Can you see? Hello? The person that said no. The person that said no. So so that means that if you have a lesion at C, the person will not be able to see at this side. And also the person will not be able to see at this side. So I mean this is a left contralateral. This is a left homonymous hemanopsia. I can see this is left, left. If you divide this eye field into right and left, this is a right, this is left, left. If you divide this one into right and left, this is right, this is left, left. So left homonymous hemanopsia. Please, guys, do you get? Because this is the right side. We have said C is the right side. Guys, is it clear to us? Ah, okay. I'm very happy. That was easy. So, you guys just picture that. Okay. So now, why you now have macular sparing is that before you can, if for you to have this lesion of this F, the damage must actually come from infarction of the PCA because this is your septal lobe. Mm. So this macular area is the area of the highest visual acuity. It is supplied by two arteries, your PCA and your MCA. So if there is damage to your MCA, and MCA actually carries the majority. So if you damage your PCA and your MCA is still there, your macula will be spared. But if you take care of your MCA, your macula is gone. Do you guys get it? Hello? So I said that, you know that if you look at lesion F, they said lesion F is going to appear like this. That is the macula, which is this central area, is preserved. Hmm? So I said that the majority of the macula is supplied by the MCA, supplied by the MCA. But PCA also supplies it. So the reason why the macula is preserved in someone that has a PCA lesion is that the MCA is still there to provide the bulk of the blood supply. So that is why it is preserved. But someone that has a MCA damage, the macula is going to be gone because MCA takes care of the majority. That is why in C, you don't have macular preservation. That's why the fact that the PCA is preserved. So, Yes. So that's why they don't say macular sparing, because if you say homonymous hemanopsia, that means that all the half of that high field is gone and you are not sparing anything. But to now, if there's sparing of anything, you mention it there that okay, oh, it is homonymous hemanopsia, but there's sparing of the macula. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Was yeah. So half of that macula, yes. So half of that macula too will be you can see that it's not the entire macula, it is just the half of the because you can divide your macula two into right or left. Shey you get? It's a circle. It's a circle. Yeah, to some extent. Yeah. Yes, yes. The MCA is the MCA. So they were talking about maybe lesion at the level of C, lesion at the level of E, lesion at the level of D. Do you guys get? All your quadratopias, MCA is the problem. MCA, your quadratopias and your so you get that is it. So you guys have to pay attention to that because those are the little details that they want to test. So you must be able to know. You get that is it. That is it. Mm-hmm. So, but but it's more of the temporal. It's more of this temporal one. The minute is the minute one that is more of the MCA. The minute one, the one that is below this one that is below, this one that is below, so that the problem will not be manifesting upwards. So it can sorry E rather E E E is a minute. So so sorry. Meyers sorry Meyers loop. So this is the dorsal optic radiation. This guy don sabi neuro. Mene where did I get okay basal nucleus of Mene, yeah. So Meyers loop, yeah, Meyers loop, ventral loop or the Meyers loop, then the dorsal loop or the yeah, I don't know the other name for dorsal loop. So someone that has problem with the dorsal loop is going to be inferior. Hello? The what? The I know Sabi. Maybe you can type it on the page. I didn't learn it. Okay, BAM's loop. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So that is that. Yeah. So let's just move. Let's just move. Uh, so I said that if someone has contralateral homonymous hemanopsia with guys, forget about that. Although the macular spelling is partial, but you cannot have it. They cannot test that one that full or partial macular sparing. You cannot have full. It should just be like that. See, look at what the diagram is showing. Where's the diagram again? You can see that it's not the entire macula that is gone. The macula on this eye field is still preserved. That's why they called it partial. So, that is it. So, if you have, sparing of the macula, that means that the lesion is at the level of the PCA because the MCA is still working fine to take over the other blood supply. Do you understand? So that is it. And MCA, supplies the majority of the macula. So that is why if someone has lesion with the MCA, you don't have any macular sparing. Everything is completely gone. So that is it. You're welcome. So yes, so this is another question, Doctor. Just to engage you quickly, Doctor Precious. So yeah, this one. Let's look at it together. So this is Dan Walker, very easy. The entirety of the posterior cranial fossa should be occupied by the cerebellum. So if the cerebellum is not there because of the genesis of the vermis in between, that means there's a cyst. There's a space for the fourth ventricle, to enlarge. So the fourth ventricle is just directly in front of your cerebellum. So it enlarges and fills the cyst and fluid and occupies the whole area. So obstruction of the fourth ventricle explains the obstructive hydrocephalus that people with Danny Walker syndrome have. So that is just the stuff in Danny Walker. Very straightforward. Okay. Um. So majority of us miss this question. I don't know why. I don't know why. Doctor. Doc, okay, Doctor Dili. I don't know if Doctor Dili is free now. Doctor Dili, are you free? Okay. Good morning. I'm coming. Okay, it's like maybe if I can't zoom it, I will read it for you now. Yes. What about now? Is it better? Okay. Hmm? So what do you think is happening here? Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yes. Probably gaze and measure with cerebellum, but it's not the cerebellum like that here. So nystagmus, broad-based gait or ataxia. This broad-based gait means ataxia, now. That's ataxia, nystagmus, and someone that is not oriented, that is confused. Confusion, ataxia, nystagmus. What do you think? In someone that is looking unwashed and disabled or something, the person is confused, the person is ataxic and nystagmic, and the person has okay. So I wanted to give you the clincher, but they ruled out the clincher. Uh, yeah, so the person might, it's something that happens over time. So it's a chronic thing. Though it's an acute presentation, but it's due to chronic consumption of alcohol. So that is it. So it's yeah, yeah. So so when they develop the Korsakoff and they have this dementia, it becomes irreversible. But if they have Wernicke, dementia is not shared with Wernicke. So it's only your confusion, the ophthalmoplegia, which could be in form of nystagmus, and ataxia, which presents as the broad-based gait. So So they just did that, ruling out of the alcohol to be negative to just tilt our mind away from. I think that was what confused most of us. So, the alcohol has done the damage. Alcohol doesn't have to be in the system for them to present that way. Do you understand? So it has done the atrophy already. And when the damage has been done, the person starts presenting with the manifestation. So if it's alcohol, Dr. Dili, what do you think you'll be picking? If you are thinking this is Wenike, if you are thinking it's Wenike. Yes, yes. Hippocampus is for Alzheimer's. Yes, hippocampus is for Alzheimer's. Yeah, so those are the mammillary bodies just below just above the amygdala. Maybe where we see a cross section of the brain will show, because at times you might need to be able to identify those things on the cross section of the brain. They will not put the options like this. They will just put the brain there. You will be the one to go and pick. You just see them two tiny ribbon like that. So bilateral damage to the mammillary body, bilateral lesion of the mammillary. It has to be bilateral. Bilateral atrophy of the mammillary body brings it back. So once you join together the constellation of signs and symptoms and you unify them, you just look for something that can explain them. So nothing here can explain this presentation aside damage to the mammillary body. So I'm happy that they did not put the cerebellum there to confuse us. Although you can have cerebellar atrophy too in someone that's taking alcohol, sha. So that is it. Yeah, so this question too, I think there's a issue with this question. All right. So big, yeah, 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 I know. So Dr. Franklin, I don't know if Dr. Franklin wants to try. Franklin, okay. Sorry, Dr. Franklin, before you start, you remember that I've shown us this image. Do you remember that I've shown us this image today? We have seen this image today. Okay, okay, all right. So, uh, mm-hmm, mm. So we can say that this area has atrophied. The area here has atrophied. So that is again. This one is not clear. Let's go to the one that is up. So this is this same image, Dr. Paulette. So this area is your cerebral aqueduct that is connecting what's it called, the third to the fourth ventricle. So this area is where you have the nucleus of your oculomotor nerve. Just it occurs, right at the beginning of the midbrain. So these are the fibers of your cranial nerve 3. Now, this is your red nucleus. D, red nucleus. Do you get it? C is your substantia nigra. E are your cerebral crux. That is fibers that is coming from your corticospinal, your corticobulbar tract that are being relayed from the cerebrum to the pons or the spinal cord. So this is where they pass through. Hmm? Do you get it? So this is the superior colliculus. This area is the superior colliculus. So here, these ones that is just by the side, these ones by the side are the fibers of the medial lemniscus. The medial lemniscus now. That the pain and the vibration and position sense. Okay. Okay, so having said that, Dr. Franklin, we have done a little revision of the image now. So what do you think? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's not B. B is wrong. I think I don't know. Maybe the answer that we chose is between A or B. So that's a mistake. That's a mistake. This is not the cerebellum. This is not showing the cerebellum at all. So it's not, you know, they even they even told us that he had the cerebral. Yes. Yeah, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. Oh, sorry guys. One one out. One out. You guys, you guys, I'm very sorry. Yeah, because of my own incompetence. Of your I wasn't even there. Oh my god. So I did not show option F too. Ah, Jesus Christ. Ah God, look at me. Yeah. So who understand? Who can quickly shed more light on that? I don't know if there's anybody. So why is it contralateral? Okay. Ah, no, no, you did not get it. You did not get it. Oh. So it can be an upper motor neuron lesion, guys. It can be an upper motor neuron and it can be ipsilateral. It can be an upper motor neuron lesion and it can be fantastic, fantastic. So if it happens above the medulla, it's going to be contralateral because it has not decusated. If it happens below, you are saying gray matter. What is gray matter? This is not important now. See, this is wait. Just relax, relax. Re, mhm. So this is it. We understand. Don't worry. I get you, Dr. Oluwatobi. Don't worry. See, see, what this person is having cerebral infarction. Cerebral infarction, I'm very sorry. Cerebral infarction that is affecting which area of the cerebrum? The crux of the cerebrum. There are bundles of neurons too. Bundles of neurons. The crux of the cerebrum. And this area of the cerebrum allows passage of your corticospinal and your corticobulbar tract to their respective nuclei. Do you get it? So forget about white matter or gray matter. Now, the next question is now to identify that is this lesion going to be contralateral or ipsilateral? Do you get it? Now, it is going to be contralateral because if you look at the passage of your upper motor neuron, let me explain it again. They are called corticospinal. That is the word. Corticospinal. That means they are cutting from the cortex. They are coming from the cortex and they are going to the spinal cord. The same thing also happens for the corticobulbar. But let's leave corticobulbar. Let's just talk about the one that is very clear. Corticospinal. They will come from the primary motor cortex, area 4 in the brain. That's where your cortical fibers are coming from. So they will descend, and of course, from the letter, that's the way you can easily know it. C and S, C and S. So when you are talking about your spinothalamic, they are sending. They will synapse first before they cross. So Synapse meaning that letter S, spinothalamic. Synapse before crossing. Corticospinal, they cross before the synapse. C, corticospinal. So that means they will cross before they eventually synapse. So that means that once the neurons originate from the cerebral cortex, they descend like that. They no synapse with anything. They descend like that. They will pass through these cerebral crooks. They go downwards. They pass through the internal capsule, pass through the everything, the subcortical structure before they now get to the level of the brainstem. So they'll pass through the brainstem to your midbrain. They'll pass through your pons, and they'll pass through your medulla. So when they get to the medulla, they decussate at the pyramid. Then they now go to the contralateral side, until they get to the anterior horn of the spinal cord where they now synapse. Do you guys get it? So the medulla, they call that area the pyramid of the medulla. That's where they decussate. Now, if you are having a lesion just above, now another thing is you must be able to identify that this is a cross section at the level of the midbrain. So if this is at the level of the midbrain, that means that that lesion is just above the medulla. That means that it has not decusated. So that means that the contralateral side will be affected. If it has decusated, that means that it is going down towards that ipsilateral side. So anything below the medulla will be ipsilateral lesion. So that means that guys, if they show us a cross section of a spinal cord like that, spinal cord now, not this guy, and they said there's damage to one side that contains the corticospinal tract, it's not going to be contralateral, it's going to be ipsilateral because you're already at the level of the spinal cord. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is it. This is it. You have both upper and lower, right? You have the lower at that level. You have your upper below that level. Because upper at that level is just reaching it. It is what is below that will not be able to receive. See, I've told you guys that your anterior horn is the starting of your lower motor neuron. Your anterior horn is the starting of your lower motor neuron. Your corticospinal, which is your upper, synapses with the anterior horn. So once it enters into the anterior horn, your upper motor neuron is over. So if you have anterior spinal artery, it will start the damage from the anterior horn and below. You get it? It will start the damage from the anterior horn. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. You are not saying it well. Whatever it is at that lesion, at that area and below. Yes. No, no, not even below. Whatever is at that area, we have lower. Whatever is below, we have upper. Because the one that is just below it has its own anterior horn that is functioning. So there is no problem. This is it, Dr. Zuliat. Is that Dr. Zuliat? I know that it can be very confusing. Just try and picture it with me. Now, just imagine a cross section of the brain like this. You know that if you look at the cross section of the brain, what you'll be seeing will be your horn, your gray horn, your white, all those things now. Now, your upper motor neuron descend downward to synapse with your anterior horn so that it can control that anterior horn at that level. And also it will continue to go downward to control each of the anterior horn at the respective levels. Now, if you have anterior spinal artery problem, it will take care of both your lateral tract and your anterior tract. It will spare the posterior tract. That means you will not be having dorsal column issues. It will only be any of the tract that is coming laterally and anteriorly, both your anterior corticospinal, anterior spinothalamic, and all those tracts. Now, that infarction is going to cause your damage of your anterior horn at that level. That level, that's what we are looking at. Oh. At that level, the anterior spinal artery that is supplying at that level will cause damage to the anterior horn at that level. So that means that the person will have a lower motor neuron at that level. But there's nothing that will happen to your upper motor neuron. It has synapse with the anterior horn. It has passed its information to the anterior horn. But um, it will not be able to, there's an impact at that level. Your anterior horn will not be able to deliver the message to the tract below. So that means that everything below we have upper motor neuron sign. I think what I'm even saying is more in keeping with someone that has your Bernard Solia, you know, I said Bernard Solia, your Brown Sequard, you know, what's it called? Syndrome. That one, is in more keeping with what I'm saying. Okay, Dr. Francois, look at it. Dr. Zilia, look at it. You damage anterior spinal artery at the level of T1. Now, you have corticospinal tract that is coming from up, synapsing with the anterior horn at the level of T1. So that means that you have damaged that level at that synapse. That means that the anterior horn at that area is damaged, right? Is damaged. At T1 is damaged. Your corticospinal tract too will be interrupted at that level. They cannot go down again. But the anterior spinal artery at the level of T2, which is below it, is still preserved. So it can supply your anterior horn at that level. So the person will not have lower motor neuron lesion. But you know that it is the fiber that is coming from up that is supplying the one that is down. You have interrupted the one that is coming from up by causing an infarction at T1. It cannot go down to supply the one that is at T2. So that means that the lesion will start, upper motor neuron lesion will start at the level of your T2. But you, from up again, below, from up again. Do you get it? So that is it. That's why you have to define that level that you are looking at. Mhm. Okay. Yes. 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 Mhm. Ipsilateral. Okay. So it now depends on the level. Look at this level now. We are looking at the level of the midbrain. That is where the damage occur. It affected the cerebral crux. So at the level of the midbrain, do you get? Yes. I'm not actually sure, but I think it should be lower medulla. But I don't think you need to worry about if it's upper. Medulla is medulla. But I think it should be lower. That's where you have your pyramid. You can confirm. So, Dr. Zulia, do you not get the reason why? Because this damage is not actually at the level of the medulla. It's at the level of the midbrain. So, so that means that it is just above your medulla before it has deposited. So that means that the contralateral one. Mhm. You get it. You get it. You get it. You know that in Brown Sequard, you are transecting the spinal cord at a level. It's not that you are splitting the spinal cord totally in between is an ME section. You are just translating it at a particular level, maybe T1, maybe you know that they will tell you the level. If you guys remember, they will always tell you the level. So maybe it's at T1 or at T12, anyone, and it is incomplete. It is not going out of the spinal cord. It is stopping in the middle. It's an ME section. So that is it. All right. There's no cerebellum on this picture. There's no cerebellum in this picture. No, we are looking at this one. We are looking at this guy. Hmm. You can see that one is the one that is already infected because this is we have seen. Yeah, it's because we have seen the normal image. Guys, we have seen the normal image. If you start this class with us, yes, it has atrophied. It has undergone infarction. It has, degraded. That is the reason why it's appearing small. It's in FA. Mm-hmm. So we have to be familiar with those images. You have to be familiar with. You have to be. I thought we mentioned it now. So that means that some people did not get us. So that means some people did not get us. Yes, someone is calling me. Hmm. That is exactly what I'm saying. I made a bad mistake too. So guys, if it's actually the cerebellum, so what will you pick? And it's happening on that left. So what will you pick? Fantastic. It will be, yeah. Cerebellar issues are always ipsilateral. Please don't let us forget it. Oh, hypotonia, dysmetra, dysatra, all those things. But they can have vertigo. I mean now people with cerebellar problem can have vertigo. Mhm. So those are dysmetra. They cannot measure distance. So the way they will be placing their legs sef go get problem. They cannot estimate distance. That's hello? Yeah, yeah. All right. So this is this okay. Substantial area is there, but it's not affected. This is it. Is this white area. You can see this white area that we are seeing here is not affected. So guys, this is another one. Very easy. Very, very easy. Who am I calling for this one? Um Dr. Kene, okay? I don't know. Dr. Kene, do you want to try or I pass? Mm-hmm. Should I? Okay, okay. What about now? Okay. Sorry, I'm very sorry. I'm coming. Okay. Okay. Ah, am I? Wait. Sorry, sorry, Dr. Kenneth. What about now? Is it better now? Shows. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Yeah, exactly. So aneurysm at the posterior communicating artery compresses the oculomotor nerve. This is a very, very straightforward question. So this question can come out. I have said it. This question can come out. We should pay attention to it. Okay. Oh. So oculomotor nerve palsy from compression of an aneurysm located at the level of the posterior communicating artery. And I will also implore us to also be able to recognize the location of the posterior communicating artery. I think most of us we know that now. Abi, we can recognize it on the image on the the angiogram. Can we? Okay, yes. Okay, that's good. Okay, so yeah, so we can see it. Hmm? Yeah, I'm this is Dr. Latobi. Angiogram. You're right. You're very correct. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. If you get to the exam, you can see an angiogram, and if the stuff is not very spinal, it will be very confusing. Oh. It's there. Yeah, there are two angiographies that I showed. There's one that is anterior cerebral, there's one that is posterior cerebral. But you might be lucky to see this normal one. and someone might. So you can be lucky. Hmm? Uh although this thing can be very, it can be, which one? My left. One, two, this one. This one. Okay, okay. Mm-hmm. So although it's not, she's part of the board exam. She's part of NBME. She's part of NBME. Yeah. So yeah, well, this one is not bad. It's not bad at least, but it's kind of scattered. So yeah, so this is the MCA, like the show. This PC, the PCA here is not really coming because you should have PCA immediately after your bachelor. You should have your PCA around here. This is where you should have your PCA. This should be your PCA. Your PCA is just the ending of your bachelor, just before your superior cerebral artery. So if this is your bacilla, you have your pointer arteries branching from your bacilla, you have your superior cerebellar somewhere here. Then immediately after your superior cerebellar, you have your posterior cerebral. They are not even showing posterior cerebral here, if you guys notice, because we are not even seeing communicating. It's possible that this is it. This is it branching from here. Sorry, my cursor is shaking. Hello, can you guys see this guy that is branching from here like this? So it's likely to be. So your PCA is actually going. See, the code for PCA is that identify the terminal area of your bacilla. The terminal area of your bacilla is your PCA. That is where your bacilla ends. It ends as a PCA. Then immediately your posterior communicating branches from it and enters your internal carotid, connected to the internal carotid. So, that's the way it is. Okay. This. Okay. This one. Far right. This one. Okay. Yeah, so this is the posterior. This is your posterior. Guys, can you see it? Can you see my cursor? This is your posterior. This is your PCA. This, this is your PCA. This is your PCA, but it's not really showing the posterior communicating too very well. Well, I know that you guys will figure it out. You guys will figure it out. It, mhm. The first thing that you do is that, yeah, so the first thing that you do is just separate your, what's it called? Your internal carotid. So this is likely to be your internal carotid here. So you can see your internal carotid already dividing into your anterior cerebral and your middle cerebral. You can see it. This is your anterior carotid. Can you guys appreciate it? Anterior carotid here. Separating into the your anterior cerebral and your MCA. Then somewhere here you have your PCA emerging. Then there's a connection here connecting your internal carotid to your PCA. This should be the posterior communicating. But everything is, smuggled together, so you can barely appreciate what is. But if they really want to show you, they'll make it clear, so you know that, okay. And you know that you'll be able to identify your pica from which artery. Hello, guys. Everybody's quiet. Eh? Eh? Are you sure? Pica from the vertebral artery. You see your pica from the vertebral. Yes. So you see your pica from your vertebra, then you see your hica just, just immediately, just within the starting of your basilar from down like this. You just see your hica coming from here. You see your hica. Sorry, this pin is just somewhere here. I don't know why this pin interest is showing. It's just somewhere. It will just be branching from here, but from your basilar down here. That is where you see from your vertebra down. That's where you see your pica, your posterior inferior cerebellar. It will be coming from somewhere here. This two, because these are your vertebra. Your right and your left vertebra, they fuse to form your basilar. Just to remind us, your right and your left vertebra fuses to form your basilar artery. Then from the bacilla, you tend to have emergence of some of the branches, your pointer arteries. Some textbook will say the labyrinthine arteries. But for the sake of USMLE, permit that labyrinthine arteries actually comes from HICA. So the ICA will just emerge just before the beginning of the bacilla. That is where your ICA emerges. Your pica will have been down below here. So ICA also gives rise to labyrinthine branches. That is why you can have sensorineural hearing loss in someone with ICA. Mm, they have sensorineural hearing loss and deafness. So then your basilar artery goes up, it quickly gives rise to the superior cerebral artery because we have been talking about the pica, the hyca, which are the inferior cerebral arteries, the posterior and the anterior inferior cerebral artery. But you need the superior cerebral artery too. So that one is just coming, just here, superior cerebral emerges like this. Then the basilar artery now give rise to two branches, PCA, right and left PCA, posterior cerebral artery. Then the right and left PCA are connected directly to the anterior carotid like this, through the posterior communicating. Then the anterior carotid gives rise to the MCA laterally, supplying the temporal lobe, part of the parietal lobe. Then your ACA, which is your anterior cerebral artery, is the other branch, which runs up to supply the frontal lobe. Then they are connected in the middle by the anterior communicating artery. So that is how the cerebral arterial circle of Willis runs. We can just go back to that uh what's it called? We see the thing is me, I believe that if we can master this one in our head, we will not become we'll be able to figure it out. You guys can see this is your PCA coming branching like that, anterior spinal artery in the middle. You can see the ICA coming from your basilar, just the starting of the basilar. Then you have the vertebral fuse to form the basilar. Then you have the superior cerebellar here. Then immediately it terminates as a PCA, your right and your left PCA. Then there's a communication between the PCA and your internal carotid like that. Then your internal carotid continues as your MCA and also gives rise to the um the anterior cerebral, which runs up frontal lobe connected by the anterior communicating. So somewhere here is where you have the oculomotor nucleus that can be compressed. But this is the area where you have most aneurysm. Between the here rather between the anterior cerebral artery and the anterior communicating. This is where you have most of the aneurysm sitting and being present. Here, this is the junction. Okay. You guys have not been talking for a while. Hope we at least that's a little revision. I think it's all right. Yeah, so many people miss this one too. I don't know. Many people miss her move. All these questions, I paid attention to them. So, yeah, I remember, I remember it too. So, Doctor, have I called Doctor Francois today? Doctor Francois, have I called you? Is Doctor Francois still there? Okay, Doctor Belaon. Yeah. So this question is for you. I said this question is for you. This question. Can you see my screen? Bro, the person contains the prostatic plexus now. Yeah, yeah, but it's not genital. This genitofemoral guy has motor and sensory. Fine. The motor is the nerve, to the cremaster, So it supplies the cremasteric muscle. So if you stroke the lateral aspect of that thigh, that inguinal area, you now have contraction of the cremaster. So the cremasteric reflex is lost when there's damage to this genitofemoral. But this genital branch confer sensory sensation to the genitals, the scrotum, as well as the labia majora in females. So, that is it. Doesn't affect erection. It doesn't. It's not involved in erection at all. So now they said this guy is a cyclist in Guinea area. So yeah, so he's a cyclist and he has problem with erection. He has numbness in the penis. The only thing that can explain this is the pudendal nerve. Pudendal nerve is involved in erection, is involved in achieving erection, and at the same time, it's also involved in expulsion of semen. There's erection phase, there's emission phase. Erection phase is both the pudendal and your parasympathetic splanchnic nerve. Then the emission phase is sympathetic hypogastric nerve. Then expulsion is also done by your pudendal nerve. The pudendal nerve also supplies sensory innervation to the penis, the scrotum, and the labia majora. That is why people that want to give birth, you know, you have to give them pudendal nerve block so that you will not feel pain around the pelvic area. It is your pudendal nerve that takes care of the sensory innervation in that area. And one of the mechanisms of injury of that pudendal nerve is by people horse riding or people that are cycling. Do we get it? So your sacral splanchnic nerve doesn't confer sensory innervation. What they are actually more concerned about is bowel movement, contraction of the bowels just below the splenic flexure. So when you want to achieve bowel movement below your splenic flexure, it is your sacral splanchnic that are in charge. Control of your bowel above your splenic flexure is controlled by your vagus nerve. Do you guys get what I said now? So people that have sacral splanchnic problem will more likely come to you with constipation, not this other thing. So splanchnic, from the word splanchnic, it means GI. GI, splanchnic circulation. Splanchnic is GI. So that is it. All right. Yeah. So this question, let's just skip this question. This question is endocrine. So and there's a lot of there's a lot of controversy. Me personally, hello. Me personally, I don't like. me, me particularly, I don't like the way they said this question. Oh, yeah, let's look at it. Let's look at it. Oh, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Sorry, Dr. Lato. Somebody's trying to call us. Pudenda, Pudenda. So, do you know why? It is involved in erection and it provides sensation to the penis, the clitoris, the labia majora, and the scrotum. And it also has some motor functions too. Pudenda actually has three. Pudenda is 50% sensory, 30% autonomic, 20% motor. So it provides motor sensation to your external urethra and your external anal sphincter. That is why you can control your defecation and you can control urination. It's due to the action of the pudendal. It also confers sensory innervation to the clitoris, the penis, um, the scrotum, and the labia majora. And at the same time, it's also involved in the erection pathway. Do you get it now, Dr. Precious? Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Pathway, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That still works. It still works. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's not who's now sounding like you? Somebody is impersonating you. That who is ah who they impersonate? Someone is impersonating you. Okay, that's Dr. Chidima. Okay. Ah, ah, Omo. Oh my God, this is Dr. Precious number two. We have been having a lot of duplication now. We have two people that are sounding like Dr. Kenny and Dr. Francois. We are still struggling with that. Then Dr. Antonia and Dr. Is it Paulette? I think Dr. Paulette and Dr. Antonia. Those are the two people that are also sounding alike. Then now we have Dr. Chidima and Dr. Precious again. God will help us. Okay, so guys, so let's get to this question. Dr. Toby, you want to read? Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a DI, but which type of DI? That's the question. Yes. And that's what you expect. And that's what you expect. Yes. 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 Yeah. So you are looking see Dr. Luashola. Dr. Luashola. Mm-hmm. So me, I'm not even looking at the specific gravity, guys. You see, my own concern for this question is actually that osmolality. Because the text states that the osmolality must change by at least 50%. That was but guys, the source of the question actually went for decimal pressing. But I feel the explanation is very shallow. They did not even give any explanation, just went for decimal pressing. But if you want to look at it realistically, the question we ask ourselves is this change significant enough to say because Dr. Luatobi, the normal urine specific gravity is between 1.0, I think 1.015, 0.02 to 1.03. That is it. Now you're not getting 1.0. So it's not, but the major one. Now, mhm. Now let me explain it. Yeah, from where? From where? In fact, you can see, guys, what I've just asked now. You can see it in your exam. I'm telling you guys, they'll just list it. You can see it in your exam. Oh. They can just say that they'll just list, different part of the kidneys, and maybe they can no, not even they can list anything. Yes, the collecting dot, but they will not stop at that collecting dot. They will not stop at that collecting dot. They can put it there. No, they can put it there that cortex, medulla. Do you get? So You have to know that it is the medullary collecting duct. Hmm? Very important. Very, very important. Yeah, the serum. Okay, I'm with you. Hmm. Doctor, Dr. Zuliat, look at what osmolality you are looking at. You are looking at serum osmolality, not urine osmolality. Hmm? So if you have reabsorption from the urine into the serum, what do you expect the serum osmolality to what should happen to the serum osmolality? It should be so what should happen, is it increase or decrease? You can see that there's a decrease from 320 to 300, so that is decreasing. What do you think will happen to the osmolality of the urine? It should increase. So you need to be able to separate them though, what you are looking at. So the osmolality of the urine should increase. That means that the way your body should respond normally is that once there's an increase in the concentration of the serum, maybe secondary to dehydration, there must be a corresponding increase in the concentration of the urine to achieve homeostasis. And that means that you are taking fluid from the urine back into the blood, to make the serum more dilute and thus increasing the concentration of the urine. If you don't have that response, it's likely that the body is not secreting vasopressin, or the vasopressin that it's being secreted is not, the kidneys are not answering to it. So that's why. So 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 what I'm just trying to say that, okay, let's picture that somebody is dehydrated. If somebody is dehydrated, the serum osmolality will be high. The normal body response to increase serum osmolality is to increase the osmolality of the urine too. Why? Because the body will secrete ADH. ADH will go and reabsorb water from the urine and take it back into the serum. And when you take water from the urine, that means that you are increasing the osmolality of the urine because it will become very concentrated. So that is the balance. That's the balance that you expect. Increase in the concentration of the serum should be shared with increase in the concentration of the urine. But if that doesn't happen and you are not producing dilute urine when somebody is dehydrated and the serum concentration is high, that means that vasopressin pathway is not actually functioning. Is it that it is not being released or the kidneys are not responding to it? Which one? So how do you now tell? Give the person that vasopressin. If you give the person vasopressin and you are not seeing increase in this urine osmolality or decrease in the serum osmolality, you know that there's a problem. So here, the dilemma here is now that this change, is it significant enough for us to say that, okay, this person actually has a central DI, that is problem I share with reduction in the release of vasopressin, because that's what separated them. People with nephrogenic, uh, see guys, see, to me, see, I'll be very, very honest with you guys. I won't give you guys stoof so that I will just go, because I don't know where you guys can encounter that question, and I'll just tell you guys what I believe is the truth and what I know. What we expect is an increase in the osmolality by at least 50% from the original state. That is why if you go and read what's it called, primary polydipsia, maybe if this person has a psychological problem, sorry for people that didn't join us for endocrine, and the person has a psychological illness or something that is making the person take too much water. mm, you will notice that the serum osmolality will be very, very low because there will be too much dilution, and the person will still be producing a lot of water, a lot of urine to move it out. You also notice that the urine osmolality too will be very low. But once you tell them to restrict fluid and they are not taking urine, the body will respond to it. And you know, ADH secretion will be low. ADH secretion will be low. And you notice that the what's it called? The osmolality of that serum will be as high as 700. It will be as high as 700. So it can actually go high. It can go high. So what I used to know is that serum osmolality should be at least 50% from baseline. That's what is in first stage for you to appreciate that, okay, this guy actually has a But I just don't know because I know that the normal serum osmolality 2 should be between like 275 to like 295. I don't know if you guys remember that. Should be between 275 to 295. So, guys, I'll do more research about this question and I'll get back to us. 275 to 295. Special gravity, oh sorry, 1.002 to 1.03. No, 1.002 to 1.03. Mhm. Yeah. So this one, majority of us got this question right. A lot of people. Ah, we've not gone far, Jesus Christ. Um, so just to quickly move on this one. Surface of the brain and there's frank blood on visual inspection, which is unable to be removed by scraping of the surface. So you are seeing hemorrhage that you cannot scrape off. That means that hemorrhage is likely a subarachnoid hemorrhage that is within the leptomeninges, which is firmly adherent to the brain. So you cannot assess it by just rubbing over the brain. It is just below the subarachnoid space. So I think that one is pretty. But the other ones you can see them and you can separate. So yes. So this one we've also done something very similar to this. Yeah, subarachnoid. Subarachnoid. Mm-hmm. A subarachnoid. No, they said they removed the cavern with the dura. Yeah, so that doesn't, they did not still remove. Yeah, so they were able to separate, the craverum with the dura. So that means that it's below. Yeah, and the severe headache too. You can even use that one to, that one can also be a pointer. So that means that the dura is actually attached to the cavernum. So it rules out your epidural hematoma. So that you cannot pick epidural automatically like that. And you are still trying to scrape the stuff off, after removing the dural, and you cannot still remove it. That means you have removed your subdural. It's not likely to be subdural again. Because if it's subdural, once you have removed that cavernum with your dural attached to it, you should have access to your hemorrhage in between your dural and the, your arachnoid. But you cannot still do that. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So, mhm. So that is it. Mhm. You are correct. It's between the meningeal layer of the periosteum. It's between the periosteum and the dura. It's just on top of the dura. The periosteum. Epidural is between the periosteum and the dura. Your subdura is just beneath. That's epi on top of dura. Subdura is between your dura and your leptomeninges, which is your pia and your arachnoid. So the one that is within the under dura, on top of dura. You know that you know that the dura is separated from your leptomeninges. It is separated. Mhm. So if you can remove the dura, that means your leptomeninges are still intact. They'll still be down because they are not attached. They are not fixed together. So mhm, that means you have separated it from the brain. The cavernum is the skull. Mhm. The cavernum is the skull. So your dura is still attached to your skull. So you have removed that one. So you are now looking at the brain surface, including the leptomeninges covering it. So that is it. So if it's actually a subdural, once you are looking at that surface, if you put your hand on it, it will scatter. You will be able to feel the blood because it's just directly on the leptomeninges. Do you guys get? So you know that once you remove that cavern with dura attached, the next thing you are looking at is leptomeninges covering that brain. And in subdural, it is just blood on the leptomeninges beneath the dura. So that means that if it's actually subdural, if I put my hand here, I should be able to scrap it away. But you cannot still do that. That means that the stuff is actually in the leptomeninges attached firmly to the brain. It's way down. Do you guys get it, or we are just spamming it? Okay. So quickly, this is not a question I want us to waste time on. So involuntary limb and facial movement, mood swings, trouble with memory. Mother had similar symptoms in the 50s. What do you guys think is happening here? Yeah, so anticipation, happening in the 50, now happening in this guy that is 42. That is anticipation. Um, the involuntary facial and limb movement, that's your chorea with the mood swings, they can have some mood problems and dementia that they have. So if it's Huntington, what are we picking? Caudate. So what is A? So what is A talking about? Alzheimer's. What is B talking about? Wilson. So what is D talking about? So so what is E talking about? E. Multiple sclerosis. You can see that they said scattered. So that's what explains the manifestation difference in space and time. It occurs in evolution. So it will happen in some area now, it will move to another area. So that's MS for you. Yeah, so this one, I know that majority of us knows the question, but we just don't know the area of the brain. So what is the diagnosis? Difficulty in identifying. Yes. So it's the angular gyrus. It's the angular. So if you don't see, sorry about that, Dr. Latobi. You know, sorry about that. So if you don't uh see, no, Doctor Zuliat, look at what you are picking. You are picking three things: temporal, breathal. Oh my God! Please, you need to stay. Yeah, you are not alone. So that is the angular gyrus. Oh, you guys shall not forget angular gyrus. So that is it. Gerstmann syndrome. Mm-hmm. It's an area within the parietal lobe. You know, yes, the left parietal lobe. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So finger agnosia, left to right disorientation. You know, agraphia, acalculia. Very good. So yes, I think most of us got this one. Numbness in the lower left jaw and the lower face, revealing a schwannoma. So what's the answer? Ah, eh? V2. V2 ke? V3. V3. V2 is maxillary nerve. You don't forget. So where does it pass? Maxillary nerve. Where does it pass? Rotundum. Rotundum. Foramen spinosum. What passes? Which is implicated in mm-mm, epidural hematoma. Just know that the artery is the epi is the tract, and it is that one that is happening at the therium, which is the, so you guys should recite this thing. You keep saying this thing every day. Subdura, bridging. Hmm. Nice one, nice one, nice one, nice one, nice one, nice one. Agbakoda, Agbakoda. So that is it. Okay. Oh. So yes, this one. See this question, eh? You guys should not have problem with this question because it is only one condition. It's only one question I can explain. I just want somebody. I want somebody to actually attempt this question. Who should I call? Oh yeah, yeah. Try, try, try. Doctor Abisola will try next one. Abi. Mm-hmm. Yeah. God bless you. That is it. You have to pick it one by one, and you will palm it. Very easy. Oh yeah. Let's look at it. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Hmm. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. He's on track. I'm with you. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Zuliat, with all this information, what are you picking? You actually know the diagnosis, and you guys are saying this thing is hard. That's what I'm telling you. You guys don't know the potential that you have. You don't know the stuff that is in you. Because I don't know. You've gotten the diagnosis, and I don't know why you are saying this question is hard. That's the answer now. You guys should know that it is only in amyotrophic lateral sclerosis that you have both upper and lower motor neuron lesion without any sensory abnormality. Once you make that kind of diagnosis, your answer is ALS until otherwise proven. That is it. Upper and motor neuron lesion in a patient without sensory abnormality. Your answer is ALS. That's your Lou Gehrig disease. It's very easy. So yeah, you use riluzole. So what are you now picking? What option are you picking, Dr. Zubia? No, you get it. We don't move this thing now. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the only thing I just want to mention in your analysis that I noticed that maybe you didn't say well is um the muscle atrophy. So once you see muscle atrophy, not weakness, muscle that is atrophying, that's lower motor neuron lesion. Straight up. You cannot have muscle atrophy in upper. So you can only have weakness, maybe spastic, or flaccid. Of course, you have the flaccid in lower, you have the spastic paralysis in upper. But once you are seeing atrophy, that is lower motor neuron lesion. Once you are seeing fasciculation, lower motor neuron lesion. But the Babinski sign is the one that is in keeping with your upper motor neuron lesion. So all these, you will not see any sensory abnormality. So all this dorsal column, blah blah, will not be there. So the damage to the anterior horn is what is explaining the lower motor neuron lesion. Like I've told you guys, like from your anterior horn downwards, that is where your lower motor neuron starts. So from your anterior horn to your peripheral nerve, those are your lower motor neuron. Then from up, your corticospinal tract are your upper motor neuron. So corticospinal tract and corticobulbar tract are your upper motor neuron. So damage to both of them can explain everything without any impairment of sensory nerves. That's your ALS. Mm. The lower motor neuron lesion. Okay. Yes, because anterior horn. Yes, because anterior horn is not upper motor neuron. So that means, that this is it. Anterior horn. You know that when you have your corticospinal terminating at your anterior horn, that is your upper motor neuron synapsing with your lower motor neuron. Anterior horn in the spinal cord is the beginning of the lower motor neuron. So from the anterior horn, you have the motor nerve that goes to supply the muscle, like maybe your femoral nerve or something. That is still part of your lower motor neuron. Now, the reason why I said that if you have um, damage at the level of a particular level of the spinal cord, the damage is starting from the horn cells in the horn cells in the spinal cord. The upper motor neuron at that level has done its own supply. It is not affected. The damage will actually start from the anterior horn cell downwards. No, not downwards. Anterior horn cell at that level. But because of the fact that the upper motor neuron has been interrupted at that level, it will supply at that level, but it will not be able to go below because it's coming from up to down. So but the lower motor is going from downwards. So that means that if you interrupt lower motor at a particular level, the other fibers that are downward will still be working. So the one at T12 will still be working, the one at S1 will still be working, but the corticospinal tract that are actually coming from the cerebral cortex, if there's a damage at the level of T1, will not be able to go downwards to be able to supply T2, T3, T4, T4, T5. But the one at the level of T2 will not be impaired. It will still work because the damage will actually start from the anterior horn stuff. It will not affect the upper motor neuron that is supplying that anterior horn. At that level, at that level, at that level, you have lower motor neuron side. Below that level, the lower motor neuron at that level is still intact because the anterior horn cells there are still intact. This thing can be confusing. I don't know. I don't know. Let me. I want to think of. I want to think of. Uh, mhm, mhm, mhm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, they've been interrupted. But you know that, Dr. Francois, if you go below that level, if you now if let's say the transaction is at level of T1, mm, that means that the corticospinal tract running to T1 will actually be spared. But the anterior horn cells at the level of T1 is damaged. Now, if you now go to T2, because you have made a transaction at the level of T1, and you know that your corticospinal are descending fibers, so that means that they cannot descend to the level of T2. So there's nothing to be providing impulse from the brain to T2 below. Mm. But you remember that in T2, hemisection is not happening at T2, hemisection is happening at T1. So that means that the anterior horn cells at the level of T2 is intact. Nothing is happening to them. Anterior horn cell at the level of T3 is intact. Nothing is happening to them. So those guys will be actually working fine. That is why you say that the lower motor neuron lesion occurs at the level of lesion only. But your upper motor neuron has been interrupted at that level, but it will not manifest with sign at that level. It will only manifest with sign below that level. So that is it. So this is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, damage to the upper motor neuron and the lower motor neuron. Do you get it, Dr. Paulette? So once you are seeing a patient with upper motor neuron lesion and lower motor neuron lesion without sensory abnormality, AML, someone that has Guillain-Barré can actually present with something similar, but you'll be expecting sensory in you can see sensory in someone with Guillain-Barré, depending on the extent of the Guillain-Barré. So let's go. Yeah, I think we are. This is we are 12 minutes. Should we do one more or we call it a day? What do you guys think? Because a few more. Someone said 20. Do we agree or we should call it? Okay. So yeah. So someone has streptococcal meningitis, which has resolved following intravenous use of antibiotics. What is the mechanism responsible for the patient's symptoms? So what are the symptoms? 3-week old infant that has enlarged head. So what's the diagnosis? Enlarged head in a 3-week old infant. Yeah, so hydrocephalus, that is it. So what is the, I've explained this before. What's the mechanism of hydrocephalus in post meningitis? Ah, please, I'm hearing subarachnoid. I'm hearing subarachnoid. Please, what are we saying? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Happens. So that is it. So decreased absorption of the CSF from the granulations that contain the arachnoid villi. So you cannot take them back into the dural venous sinuses to enter the venous circulation. So they will keep accumulating within the ventricles and they will bring about um, hydrocephalus. Can happen with TB meningitis. Yes. It can happen with TB meningitis. Yes. So this is another question again. A 19-year-old college student presents to the emergency department with severe vomiting after taking an unknown pill on a night out with her friend. Which of the following labeled areas of the brain is most likely involved in the patient vomiting? What do you think they're asking of? Yeah. What do we think? Yes. So where is the vomiting center? Medulla. So what options is in keeping with medulla? Eh? Option D. Option D. I hope we don't have any issues with this one. So what's option C? Pons. What's option A? So what is B? I think this should be the pituitary. Wait, wait, wait. So the one at the back, hypothalamus is somewhere up. Is here. Hypothalamus is somewhere here. So the one here is what? Cerebellum. Okay. So area postrema, the floor of ventricle, fourth ventricle, and the medulla. That's where you have them. Yeah, Doctor Doctor Precious. No. Okay. Supracranial. No, Doctor Precious said ST. Is it ST hen or SC hen? Doctor Precious. What is it? SCN or ST? No, you are mixing it up. Oh. That's why me I don't like abbreviation. Eh, um, nucleus of tractor solitarius. That one is your medulla is in the medulla. Your what's it called? Me I don't know the abbreviation that they use. Your suprachiasmatic nuclei. That's what you are calling the SCN. Is in the hypothalamus. That's for your that's your circadian reading. Yeah, suprachiasmatic nuclei. So do you get it now, Doctor Precious? No, no, don't mix it up. Area postrema, your nucleus of tractus solitarius, they work together to coordinate vomiting. So that is it. So you can have your area postrema just within the floor of the von ventricle and the medulla, and but your nucleus to the tractus solitarius is predominantly in the medulla. So once you pick medulla, you are not wrong. Mhm. Ah. So that means you just thought this hypothalamus and you picked it. Ah, very well. So guys, let's quickly rush through all those nucleus. Let's quickly rush through all those nucleus again. So what are the nucleus in the hypothalamus? So you have the lateral nucleus. What does it do? Ah, no, no, guys, onga, lateral nucleus. If there's if you have damage to the lateral nucleus, that means that person will become anorexic. That's it. So the ventromedial nucleus is what? Satiety. Okay. So you have the anterior nucleus. So what does it do? Cooling. You have the posterior nucleus for okay, AC is the code exactly. AC is the code. So posterior nucleus for warming, abi, for heat. So you have the suprachiasmatic nucleus for circadian rhythm. So they secrete all these norepinephrine, melatonin, serotonin, and all those hormones. Then you have your preoptic nucleus. What does it do? Generate thermoregulation and what else? It remains one. Then yeah, sexual. Yeah, that is it. So sexual. That is. So I think I've mentioned everything. I don't think I missed out anything. Preoptic, suprachiasmatic. Okay. The even the basic ones. ADH and suprachiasmatic and paraventricular. Okay, all right. Mm-hmm. So that means we have run through. And I'm sure that we remember those of the thalamus too. Should be now. The the ventral posterior media. Hmm? No, it's not this sensation. No. That's the face. That's the face and the gustatory. Face through the trigeminal nucleus and the gustatory. Ventral posterior media. The ventral posterior lateral is the all the sensation, right? I'm just trying to say that all those things that you guys know now, pain, temperature, the ones causing from the dorsal nucleus, proprioception, all those things. I cannot be listening. Mm-hmm. Eh? Okay, 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 okay. Ah, you know that all this code used to confuse me. Yes. So, mm-hmm, I'm listening. I'm listening. Lateral. Ah, please, guys, please let us take it one by one. Don't worry, I know what is happening. Let's take it one by one. So, the ventral posterolateral is the first one. Abi, I know that we have arranged it the way we are seeing it in the book. Ventral posterolateral is the first one. So that is the one that is coordinating all the sensations, your temperature, your pain, the crude touch, the vibration sense, position sense, and all those things. Then we move, you get. So the next one is now ventral no, they can just ask that which area of the brain. So you know that is the parietal cortex, somatosensory cortex. So you don't need to know, you just need to know where they are going. Do you get where they are going? They have a final destination. They are relaying through the thalamus. They are relaying through the thalamus. They have a way, they have a destination that they are going. Do you guys get it? Hello? Hello? Hmm. So those guys that are moving through the ventral posterolateral are actually going to the parietal cortex in the cerebrum. That is where they will be interpreted. Somatosensory cortex. Then we have the trigeminal nucleus as well as um, the gustatory, sensations. They also confer those fibers to the, somatosensory cortex in the parietal lobe, right? Then we have the lateral geniculate. So that one is involved in the optic pathway. Optic pathway. That's what they do. Then the medial geniculate is the one that is involved in the auditory pathway. Mm. Then we have the ventral anterior and the ventral medial nucleus. Is it ventral medial? Ventral lateral. Ventral lateral and ventral anterior. Those are the ones that are involved in motor. So they relate to the basal ganglia and the cerebellum. Am I correct? Do we still remember? Ventral lateral, ventral anterior to the cerebellum and the basal ganglia for motor. Then we've talked about the lateral geniculate for the eye, the medial geniculate for the hearing, then trigeminal nerve sensation, conferring sensation from the face, and also taste sensation from the mouth. You know, going to the somatosensory cortex as well. Then, all the sensation of pain, temperature, proprioception, and all those things going to the ventral posterolateral because of the thalamus. Then finally to the parietal cortex as well. So that is it. So this one is very simple too. Um, a man died of cardiac arrest following ventricular fib, and biopsy shows small infarct in the basal ganglia. So, assuming that the defect arises from a single vessel within the CNS, which artery should we be looking at? Basal ganglia. Basal ganglia. Exactly. So, basal ganglia, what else? What else can also be affected? The internal capsule. The internal capsule, the basal ganglia, left close right arteries. So, um, so they brought a man that was having short-term memory, forgetting details, and the person has nystagmus as well as unsteady gait. And he has been treated so many times in the past for alcohol withdrawal. So where is the lesion? So what's the diagnosis? Yeah. So you guys can see that it's very similar to that number the initial question that I projected too. Because they told us that this person has had past history of alcohol withdrawal. They are not saying that they saw alcohol presently. You can see it too. It's not that the person is, but he has been taking a cord that got damage to that mammillary body, which could explain why the person is having the Wernicke encephalopathy. So, and of course, um, yeah, that's what I'm about to say because I can see the memory, problems here too. So they can have Wernicke Korsakoff. When you are seeing memory problem, personality changes, person becoming aggressive with confabulation. So he's just making up. They can ask him, "What did you eat today?" And he will say that he ate beans. And they will ask people he's staying with, "What did he eat?" He ate rice. So that person is just confabulating. Yeah. So this is another one again. Um. So ischemic stroke with uvular deviation to the right side. The defect is in the lower motor neuron. Damage to which of the following cranial nerve is concerned with the abnormality. So what do you guys think? Okay. Yeah, it looks away. There's a catch here actually, guys. But me, I don't actually like mentioning it, but I feel we should just know it. We should just know it. If it's lower motor neuron lesion, it should be contralateral. If it's from upper, it should be ipsilateral. So let's just note that. Just note that. Yeah, so it's the other way around. Mhm. So if it's the low, so the lower is actually the one that we used to know. That okay, once you have crown have 10 damage, uvula moves to the contralateral side. But if it's an upper motor neuron damage that is coming from the corticobulbar tract before it gets to the vagus nerve, it should be ipsilateral. But I don't think they really test that one. But I'm just saying it for you guys to just know it. Just know it. So this one now. So since the deviation is going to the right, so which area do you think will be affected? And it's a lower motor neuron lesion. So mhm, mhm. Yes. It will deviate to the left. It will deviate. It will deviate to the right. So that means the uvula that is affected is the left one. Okay. Okay. That is it. Hmm. Yeah. So they want to. I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm listening. Is the left. So no, no, that is not it. Or that's for the tongue. Very correct, man. That's for the tongue. That's for the tongue. The tongue one is that they want to achieve midline. This one is pushing it to the midline. That one is pushing it to the midline. But in the uvula, they are pushing it to their sides. Right is pulling it to the right. Left is pulling it to the left. So which either one of them that fails is going to win it. But the tongue is quite different. In tongue, they are trying to push it to the midline. Right is pushing it to the left. Left is pushing it to the right. So that means that in tongue, if you have failure on the right side, so that means that right will not be able to push it to the left again. So everything will go to the right. So that is why right is right in the tongue. Does it make sense? That is why I don't want to explain it too much because it can be confusing. Yes, sir. Mm, yeah. Yeah, especially if you are talking about this spiker hiker, you can just quickly look at the one that is conferring sensation to the face. You guys remember what I'm saying now? That trigeminal nucleus, fast, fast. You just need to know which spiker. Yes. Yeah. So the reason why they are saying is lower motor is that you know that if you look at all this bulbar stuff, the nerve supply to the head, the upper motor neuron is the fiber that are coming from the cerebral cortex to the vagal nucleus in the medulla. That's the corticobulbar fibers. The fiber that are now leaving that vagal nucleus to supply the structure is the vagus nerve itself. So that's a lower motor neuron. Do you guys get that brief analogy? So, so now there's a decussation too somewhere in the pyramid. So that means that if if the left is affected, it's going to actually affect the right vagus. If the left corticobulbar tract that is going to the vagus nucleus is affected, it will affect the right um, vagus nerve because of the deposition. Do you guys get it? So that means that eh? This is it. This is it. Let me just quickly explain it for you guys. You guys will get it. I don't want to actually spend too much time on it because I feel it's not too very important, but I will say it. Now, this is what happens at the uvula. The right vagus nerve will supply the muscles in the uvula that would, pull it to the right side. So right uvula, they pull to the right side. The left uvula, they pull it to the left side. So that means that if there's failure or damage to innervation at the right vagus, so if there's damage or lesion at the right vagus, that means that the right side of the uvula, you cannot pull it to the right side of the uvula again. That means that it will be pulled towards the left side. That's why it is contralateral. I hope that one is clear. Is that one clear? So now let's now look at lesion on the right side of the brain. If there's a lesion on the right side of the brain, that is an upper motor because I've mentioned the pathways. We have the upper motor neuron and the lower motor neuron. Upper motor neuron is the one that is coming from the cerebral cortex to the vagus nucleus in the medulla. That's the corticobulbar fibers. The one that are not leaving that bulbar nucleus, that vagus nucleus in the medulla to go and supply the muscles, the uvular muscles, is the vagus nerve. So that is a lower motor neuron. Do you guys get that? Now, the corticobulbar tract also decussates, just like the corticospinal tract at the medulla. So if they decussate, that means that before they get to that medulla stuff, decussation will have happened. I don't actually know the precise area of that decussation, but there's a decussation before it enters that vagus nucleus. So that means that if it gets damage above the medulla, it's going to affect the contralateral vagus because of that decussation. Do you guys get it? So let's say that we now have damage to the right side of the brain, the right corticobulbar tract. So that means that it is a left vagus nerve that will be damaged. So that means that the left muscle supplying the uvula will not be able to pull the uvula to the left. So that means that you'll be able to pull the uvula to the right. That is why it will be ipsilateral damage. You can see that there's affectation of the right corticobulbar tract and you are deviating that uvula to the right side because it is an upper motor neuron lesion. Ah, guys, do you guys get it? Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. There'll be a wait, Dr. Zulia, you still explain, no? You know that the cheat code that we learned initially is that in a lower motor neuron lesion, the deficit will be located on the contralateral side, right? For this particular part. In the upper motor neuron lesion, the deficit will be located in the ipsilateral side, right? Now, let's now use that your analogy to now continue. So now continue now. Let's see if we are correct. Wait. Take it step by step. If there's damage to the right corticoboreal tract, what vagus nerve will be affected? Yes, which the left vagus nerve. So if the left vagus nerve is affected, how will the deviation that will be? So left uvula will go where? You get it. Because left uvula is supposed to pull it to the left. It cannot pull the left uvula to the left. So that means that the right will just be pulling everything to the right. So you have a right side deviation in keeping with a right what damage, which is a upper motor neuron, which is what ipsilateral because you are having right. Do you get it? But if it's a lower motor neuron, that is, you are damaging the vagus nerve directly, immediately it leaves the nucleus in the medulla. You are damaging that vagus nerve. There's nothing that is decreasing again. So that means that it just weakens the left side, and you cannot put the left side to the left. So the because you have damaged the left vagus, you cannot put, so it will move to the right. Hmm. You guys can see that it's easy, but just imagine you are in the exam hall and you are trying to be processing that one. Ah, you just it go scatter. But you should have the understanding in case they twist the question anyhow. You can always figure it out. So you guys must also remember that you have your the tongue twist is the same thing. It's just that in the tongue, the muscles, the way they are acting is not to pull it to their side. The right hypoglossal is not pulling it to the right side, it's pulling it to the left. They want to achieve midline in the tongue. That is it. Right to pull it to the left, left to pull it to the right, so that the tongue can meet the midline. So that's why it's reverse of what you have in the uvula. Do you get it? So that means that if you have paralysis of the right hypoglossal, you cannot move the tongue to the left side. So that means that the tongue will deviate to the right side. So the lesion in the tongue is always ipsilateral. Do you understand? So guys, I think we have ended the stuff. So we'll continue now, guys. This one everybody is quiet. Is it is what? Dr. Olatobi, what did you say? Ah, oh, but me that won't we are there at number 20. There's there are still some very highly punky questions down. But we guys, people want to go to work. Oh. People want to go to work. Oh. I've been now, guys. I think some of us will want to go to work now. Ah, if like say me, I won't go to work. Oh. Oh, you guys no wan make I take break. Ah, Jesus Christ. Please, please, guys, I need to know, are we comfortable continuing or people have left? People have left actually. People have Dr. Paulette, what do you think? So guys, I don't know. That, that's the way you guys. Dr. Baji, you God will forgive you. Okay. So this is another question again. Um, talking about a patient that has optic neuritis. So there's pain in the eye, paresthesia in the left, following a viral illness, and edema in the right optic disc with mild hyperreflexia. So okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Something my nation. Okay, why is it not C? What is C? What is the diagnosis of C? Eh? No. White matter. Myositis is muscle. Myositis is muscle. Who knows C? Anybody? No. Mm, yeah. Ah, that's PML. That's PML now. That's a PML straight up. That's why. Ah. Okay, cephalopathy. Mm-hmm. That's a, yeah. So it can be caused by your JC virus, Abi. Yeah. So you are doing well. You are doing well. It affects. You are doing very well. It affects your occipital lobe and the parietal lobe. Those are the two areas. He is Jacob. Let's just be calling it Jacob to be easy. He is Jacob. He is Jacob. Mm-hmm. So guys, let's quickly move. Uh, maybe cystic media degeneration or something. All these syphilitic. You can see it's granulomatous. So that's syphilitic cystic media. You know. So so let's look at it. So a 70-year-old man is referred to the specialist for evaluation because of progressive memory loss and cognitive decline. His wife reports that he gets lost in the neighborhood and now pays the bills because he has become unreliable. She also states that the patient's appetite, weight, sleeping, energy has not changed, but he has less interest in hobbies he used to enjoy. Neurological examination is normal. He scores 19/30 in the mini mental state examination, and he has error recurring images, drawing figures, language, and concentration. Laboratory studies are unremarkable. Which of the following symptoms is most likely to develop in this patient over the next 3 months? What do you guys think is the diagnosis? Yeah, so this is Alzheimer's disease. Yeah, so Alzheimer's disease. So what do you guys think would be the answer? Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's, ah, that is true. Now that's Parkinson. I bet, bro. Yeah. So that is it. Pseudo depression. You can have it in so many conditions. You can have it in vitamin. Okay, no, I'm saying rubbish now. Yeah. I know that doctor. It was Doctor Oluwatomi that said pseudo depression. Um, Pseudo depression is part of the manifestation of Alzheimer's. It's correct. It's correct now. Hmm. So, what do you guys think of hyperorality? Yes. So, what do you guys think of stereotype? Stere- you don't need to be. See, you don't need to be. That one a basic thing. Like, uh, you can. No, it means that that person has problem with higher functions, like frontal lobe problem. Yeah, cognitive. That's no, no, no. That's a frontal lobe issue. This is very once you see this kind of thing, executive stuff like this, language, concentration, this frontal lobe. Stereotype preservation. Yeah. So that is it. So what do you guys think of this stereotype preservation? That means stereotype preservation. That means they are kind of confined to some stereotype activities. What do you guys think? Eh? No. Ah, OCD. It's not really OCD. Oh. Well, maybe OCD, but it's also yes, autism. Mm-hmm. They are restricted to some activities in autism, and they have some stereotyped, stuff that they do. So you can find it in autism too. So symmetric muscular weakness. What do you guys think? Uh, is that Dr. Zuliat? Well, myositis. Yeah, maybe. Yes. Yeah, that is it. Spinal muscular atrophy. Contrast it with your polio. There are so many things actually. I think it's also symmetric too in Guillain-Barré. So um in your SMN it is symmetric, but in polio it is asymmetric. Okay. So let's go to the next one. Okay. So um the neurological examination of this individual reveals complete paralysis on the right side of the face, reduced taste sensation in the right side of the tongue, sensitivity to loud sounds, and rest of the neurological examination is normal. The patient was given a short course of steroids and facial weakness improved over the next few weeks. What do you guys think? So this is Bell's palsy. So what do you think? What do you, dryness of what? Yes. So what option are you picking? What option are you? Hmm. So dryness. The what? So what supplies the lacrimal gland? Who said ophthalmic? Who said ophthalmic? What supplies the sensory innervation to the eye? That's ophthalmic. Hmm? Ophthalmic nerve. VI. Abi now, guys. V1, right? So is that one is sensory. That one is sensory. It's not autonomic. So yeah. So it's 7. So I'm just trying to buttress the angle that Dr. Luatobi used to analyze it. I think she should use the knowledge of orbicularis ocular that I cannot close the eye. So So if you cannot close the eye too, you are exposing the eye like that to dry. But if you cannot secrete lacrimal fluid too, it can dry. So yeah, so no, I'm not the I'm just trying to corroborate why you can have that high dryness. You know that the facial nerve also supplies the lacrimal gland. So if they are not secreting tears, the eyes will be dry. Hello? So I said that lacrimal, that lacrimal secretion, that's autonomic response. Do you get it? So I'm not saying, someone said, when I asked that, what supplies the lacrimal gland? Someone said ophthalmic nerve. And I asked that, what supplies sensory innervation to the face? I mean, the upper part of the face, the eyelids and that area. So someone else said ophthalmic. So and I said that that function is actually a sensory function. hmm Yeah, so that's not autonomic function, it's a sensory function. You what? Okay, talk about it. Mm-hmm. Uh, mm-hmm. Yes, contralateral. That's very correct. That's very correct. Because you guys need to go and look at that pathway of facial nerve to be able to understand it too. Mm. It has a way. You see from both of the hemispheres donating to a nucleus on the side. So from that nucleus, you now have your lower nerve going to the upper and the lower. But the what do I want to say now? The nucleus that goes to the lower actually gets from both of them. The one that goes to the upper gets from, is it the contralateral side only? I've forgotten that. that pathway is that pathway is a very, very mad, crazy pathway. But there are two nucleuses. There are two nucleuses. So the from the right and the left cerebral hemisphere, it will donate to a nucleus. The contralateral hemisphere will donate to the upper nucleus. The upper nucleus will supply the upper face. Both of the hemisphere will donate to the lower nucleus that will supply the lower face. That is it. So you guys need to go and picture that nucleus so that you can. But if you just want to palm upper space upper, it will make life very easy. And because there are two facial nucleuses, it is two. no. So number 24. What do you guys think? So there's a patient that undergone. Mm, yeah, left upper, straight up. No, it won't be right because the person will have a contralateral. You get it. The person will have a contralateral homonymous hemanopsia. It's going to be contralateral. Contralateral. Yes, it's inferior. That is it. We should not forget this. It doesn't make it throw. I bet throw and baby food. It doesn't make it throw food. Eh? Dr. Franklin said what? So, like if there's damage to the if there if there's damage to the actually to understand it more, you have to look at that part two again. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And now he's made at and now. So the one that is inferior is actually the mayor. So that is why the lesion is demonstrating in the up field. Do you understand? Upper field, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. That is it. It will just be control. I don't. Sorry, I was not really processing what we were saying. It must be the first thing that you establish in your mind that whenever you are looking at the damage that is beyond the optic tract, that is beyond the optic tract, because that is when deposition now. Where is that image again? I need to show you so that you see it. So once that uh damage is beyond, sorry, I'm looking for the one I used the other time. Is it this one? So if this lesion is somewhere here, optic tract, you can see Dr. Lushola. So that means that it's going to be affected by decussation problem. So it's going to be contralateral. But if the lesion is here before that decussation, that is the optic nerve or the retina, is going to be ipsilateral. You can see, look at B. B is affecting the right eye. This is the right optic nerve and it's affecting the right eye. No story about it. But look at D. D is not affecting the right side. It's going to be affecting the left side. You can see because of the decussation. So you have a left homonymous hemanopsia, contralateral, and it persists like that. Can you see it up to the end? So anything beyond that decussation to the back, you know that, guys, these fibers are actually coming from the front to back. They are coming from the eye. You receive the impulse from the eye, then you go and interpret it at the back of your brain. So anything posterior to the optic tract, anything posterior to the optic chiasm that is affecting the optic tract and beyond is going to be contralateral. Is Dr. Precious here? Dr. Precious. Please look at it very well, so that we just permit everybody should look at it. We should not miss any question on the optic pathway. So we should just look at the way the fibers travel, and if you want to palm it, you can palm it, and if you want to understand it, you can understand it. It's not too hard. So it's because if you look at a side, if you are taking the right side, option D, it gives fibers that goes to the temporal side of the eye, and fibers that goes to the um, nasal side of the contralateral eye. So that means that the vision problem is going to be affecting the nasal side of the ipsilateral eye and the temporal side of the contralateral eye. It's going to switch. So that is why the lesion is presenting, the way it is. But for you to now be having quadrant problems, you have to go beyond the optic tract and be moving towards your optic radiations. So the quick way to just identify it is that don't be confused. Don't be confused by them. One is upper. The quick way to just look at it that the one that is lateral is your Mayers. That was the code that we used that day. The one that is lateral is your Mayers. That's the temporal one. The one that is medial is parietal lobe. So that's your dorsal. So once you get to the exam hall and you are able to make diagnosis of contralateral inferior quadrantopia, most likely you know that the problem is coming from your parietal lobe. So to now identify the dorsal radiation, you look for the one that is medial, because parietal lobe is medial to the temporal lobe. So that is why F is correct. F is medial to E. So if you want to pick the Mayers, maybe the visual problem is affecting the superior quadrant, you go and pick E, which is lateral, which is your temporal lobe. Do you guys get it? All right. So let's look at the last one. The last one. So they show this image, and the person is having motor symptoms without dementia. So what is this image? Though I don't like this image, to be honest. I feel it's not fair enough, because the color. One of the ways I used to palm that image is by seeing the color. Once I see the color, I know the way the color looks like. So if it's brown, I know they are talking about Alzheimer's, Abi. So, but if I'm seeing something like red or blue, I know that that is Lewy body, and that will be your Parkinson. So actually, this one is actually Lewy body. If you are thinking this is Alzheimer's, you will not see anything to pick now. If you think it's Alzheimer's, what will you pick? What will you pick? Nothing. So the answer is Lewy body. That's why you are going to go for Alzheimer's. That's why they already told us. Yeah, but you can palm it from the symptoms. The same motor symptom, no dementia. Because dementia symptoms in Parkinson actually comes later. You guys remember now? It comes later. So it's not one of the characteristic manifestation. Unlike Alzheimer's, that dementia is a major problem. You guys know that. So so that is it. So that is why body cannot answer the answer. So guys, we'll meet again. The You guys are welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So